Hi everyone. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Very good morning.
Good morning.
Very good morning. So I hope everyone created a Azure account, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Because from Monday we are going to start Data Factory. So if you did not create it, please make sure to make it at least available from the Monday. Okay, so major practical things are going to be there from Monday onwards. Okay. So let's continue our journey with the storage. And we are talking about for storage, we are having a ADLS Gen 2. And ADLS Gen 2 is specifically designed for big data processing. Okay, so I'm just going to extend of this Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 with respect to storage, what options are there for storage, and basically how exactly the cost is going to be decided by Microsoft is based on data storage. I mean to say, when data is in sleeping, you're having a storage, you have taken storage, you can store the data here. So data may be there in a sleep. Even if the data is there in a sleep also, they're going to make a cost, but cost may be less. Okay, so depends on the how frequently you're going to access the data is going to be decided the cost. So cost will be there even if the data in a sleeping mode, or even if the data is in transition, also is going to have a cost. So that means it's not only a sleeping, it is moving the data from one place to other place. So when data is in transition, then cost will be there. And when the data is there in a sleeping also, there will be cost. Okay, so that is what I'm just giving here. Based on the storage time and how frequently accessing the data from the storage is going to be decided by your cost. And while data in sleeping, there will be cost. And while data in transition, there will be cost. In both the places, we are going to have a cost. And this is going to be categorized with the three different types of pricing tiers or access tiers. Okay, so basically there are four are there. One is hot, cool, cold, and archive. Okay, so this archive, that when the data is there in the archive, it's not going to move. Data is not going to move, and you cannot read the data from here. If you wanted to read it, it has to be converted into either into the cold, or it has to be converted into cool or hot. You have to convert it. But all these things are going to be taken care by your administrators only. We are not going to care about all this particular part. This is purely related to administrators. Okay, so while creating the storage account, we are going to see this. Let me create a one more storage account, and we'll see all these pricing tiers. Portal.azure.com. We can use the storage accounts. Frequently used service is going to be available here. We don't need to search. Let's hit on storage accounts plus create. I'm just going to choose my resource group. I have taken yesterday we created this resource group. So we don't create a resource group again and again. We're going to use the same resource group, and storage account name. I'm just giving Bhaskar June ADLS test. I'm just giving some name. I'll take out this once this is completed. So region, I'm going to use the as it is the central India, and the primary service is blob storage or ADLS Gen 2. And I'm just going to say next. In the next, I'm just going to make this enable. I wanted to go with the ADLS Gen 2. So here you can see access to use. So by default, it is going to have a hot. This is going to be used to frequently access data. Your data engineers are always going to access the data frequently. So by default, it is going to be there with the hot. Okay, so it is going to be used for everyday use cases or use scenarios, usage scenarios. We are going to use this heart. Okay, so if you wanted to reduce the cost, that means if the administrators wants to reduce the cost, two things are going to be there. Okay, so you can change this access tier. That is one option. And the other option is you can archive it or you can remove it. Okay, so removal is not going to be happened immediately. We are going to have some policy based on that. They're going to handle it. Okay, so it's all depends. It's all depends on going to be happen, and that will be taken care by someone else. We don't care about it. So heart is going to be used only for frequently accessed data. And when we can have this cool is it is optimized for infrequently accessed the data. So it is suitable for backup scenarios. Like if you wanted to back up the data for some reason, and if you're not going to access this data every day, and if you're accessing this infrequently, then we can go for cool. Okay, so when you go for cool, what happens is the cost is going to be less. Like I have a data in the storage, data is there here, and I'm accessing every day. Okay, so accessing every day means it is going to be hard. So there are multiple people are there to access this data and every day, just imagine. So frequently accessing is there. So access is more. So access cost is going to be less here. In heart, access cost is less. So why it is less means you are frequently accessing with multiple persons. One person can go for multiple times also. Okay, so because of that reason, they're keeping and less cost for storage. For storage, cost is less. Okay, when you have a hard pricing tier, when you have a hard pricing tier, the storage cost is less. Sorry, I'm sorry. Storage cost is more. Okay, so storage cost is more and access cost is less. Okay, if they take the more here because they're accessing more, then definitely the cost is going to be little more. So because of that reason, they're trying to balance the cost. Okay, and if it is a cool, here, so comparatively hot, it is little more, and comparatively hot here, little less. Okay, there will be slight difference you can see between the hot and cool, but more or less they're just trying to reduce the cost and you're not accessing the data frequently, right? Let's say here every day one person is accessing 100 times, just imagine. When it comes to the cool, they may not access every day one time also, or they may go for monthly once or weekly once, something like that. So infrequently they're accessing, right? So storage cost, they're going to be less here, and access cost is going to be more because you're accessing only one or two times. So they need to get some price, right? So because of that reason, the access cost is little more. Okay, so depends on the usage, this cost is going to be decided. So like this, we have a cold also optimized for rarely access the data. How exactly they're going to design this changes is basically like, let's say the age of the file. Age of the file is today, just imagine if the age of the file is 30 days, then I wanted to change my file from hard pricing tier to cool pricing tier. That is the grace period I'm taking it. So when I say I means it is an administrator role. Okay, so if they wanted to change the pricing tier, they're going to create a policies in the Azure, and that policy is going to run every day. It will check age of the file. If the age of the file is something like this, then they're just going to change the pricing tier to cool. And in the same way, from cool to cold, I wanted to change it. Then let's take a 60 days time. If the age of the file is 60 days, then they're going to change the pricing tier from cool to cold. And if the age of the if the age of the file is 90 days, then they wanted to archive it. So archive is also there. Archive is not available directly here because we don't keep the files directly archived. In this particular, I mean to say, we cannot take the default option as an archive because we don't keep the files directly in the archive. Okay, so we are going to move the files from one pricing tier or access tier to archive access tier. When the data is there inside this archive, you cannot read it. Your ADF cannot read the data from here. If you try to read from here, it will not allow. So ADF can read only the data if the data is there in the hot, or if the data is there in the cool or cold. In all these three layers, ADF can read. But if data is there in the archive, it is not going to read. If you wanted to make it read, basically, we don't read the data from the archive. Only for backup purpose, we are going to keep it. And here in the archive, data will never move. So no transition cost. So data is not going to be in transition. Data is always going to be in a sleep. The cost is very, very less when you compare with this. Because you're just keeping it, only you're storing it. Okay, so if they wanted to keep the data, something which is required for them, for some reasons, if they wanted to archive, then they're going to archive it.
So archive means here any other particular folder we are moving, sir, or how it is?
Exactly. Generally, we used to have a archive folders, right? In general operating system in Windows. We can treat that as an archive. Okay, so here we have a access tier itself because you are not going to read the data from there. You are making sure you're just storing it. For that particular place, we don't need to pay the cost for access, right?
Yeah. So here in storage account, we have three options here. So
Yeah.
either blob
We are
in
going to see
ADLS to
that option is not directly available here, but we are going to see that.
Okay.
Okay, so cold is optimized for rarely accessed data, and this is also suitable for backup scenarios. Okay, and archive also is backup scenarios, but you cannot read directly. But here, this is a backup scenario, this is a backup scenario, but you can read them. Okay, the performance will be less. Like, if you try to read the data from here, it takes more time. But if you go with the hard, it will be faster. Okay, you got my point, right? When you're traveling from one location to another location.
Yeah.
Okay, if you move by flight, then it will be faster. If you move by train, there will be slight different. If you move by bus, again, little different. So something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I made this as a ADLS Gen 2, and I'm going to say review plus create.
So related to ADLS Gen 2, so when Gen 2 is introduced, our Gen 1 also is there to select now?
Gen 1 was deprecated, is not available no more now. So what happened is previously there is a separate service for blob account.
Okay.
And separate service for Gen 2, Gen 1. Okay, so this Gen 1 was designed for big data processing. And this is general purpose. Okay, so two services were there. This is one service and this is another service. What they did is they combined together and named it as a storage accounts. Okay, and storage accounts, and in place of this, what they did is the best options of the blob account and besties of your Gen 1, they combined together and they named it as a ADLS Gen 2. So in ADLS Gen 2, we can store the data, whatever we can store in the blob account related stuff, we can store here, and which is specific to big data processing also, we can store in the same place also. So that feasibilities are available in the ADLS Gen 2. So they deprecated this. You
Okay.
got my point, right?
Yeah. So any old project also will not be available in Gen 1 now.
First, no, yeah, Gen 1 is not at all available.
Okay.
It was deprecated. Let's hit on go to resource. If I wanted to store it, we discussed about it, we need to create a container. We're always going to use only containers. Plus container or data files. Hit on create. Now I'm going to upload the file here. When I upload the file, by default, it is going to take hot access tier is because while creating the account, we have taken default option is the hot. Let's upload it. Now you can see here, hot is there. Again, I'm just going to upload. So here we have a different types of access tiers here. And I'm just going to say cool. Let's upload it. Now this is a cool access tier. I'm just uploading with a different access tier. Now this time I'm going to take cold. Let's go with the archive also. So when I open hot access tier, I'm able to open and see the data. That means I can read it. If I can able to open it here, then ADF also can read the data from here. And next is cool. When I open this, I can read the data. And cold, I can read the data. Just try with this one, archive. So you cannot read the data. You don't have access to read the data from there. It was locked. So data factory cannot read it. So in order to read the data from here, what you have to do is you have to change the access tier. So change access tier. So from archive to cool or cold, you have to change it. So when you're changing this access tier, you can take the rehydration priority. If you wanted to make it faster, then you can go for high. And if you wanted to go for little slow, then you can go for standard. The price will be taken when the access tier changing from archive to cool. So that process is the right to changing from one access tier to other access tier. The process of changing from one access tier to other access tier, that we can call it as a rehydration. So we are going to rehydrate it. So rehydrating a block from archive to hot or cool. Even cold also is not possible. You can do only up to hot or cool. So this will take some time if you're changing the access tier. So if you really require that particular data, then you can change it. Otherwise, you don't need to change it. Okay, so this is how we can change the pricing tiers. I mean to say from one pricing tier to other pricing tier, but we don't do anything from our side from the data engineers. I'm just giving an heads up here. There are access tiers are there. Based on the access tier, the price is going to be changed.
Bhaskar sir,
Mhm.
so yesterday also you have uploaded one file, right? CS customer file.
Okay,
So that is also by default into hot,
hot. By default,
hot, right?
when you because we created with the hot when we created account, and when data factory loads the data here, or when you upload the data here, automatically it is going to be a hot only. So you can say I'm just taking into your resource group, that is June dev.
Yeah.
Yesterday we created this account, containers, and you can see the data files, input directory. So you can see here heart is there.
Okay.
Okay, so that is the default option. Now, so let's see how we can access this storage account from outside. So that is very, very important for us. For data engineers, how we can access it from the outside is very important. Even if you access the storage with the portal, sometimes it will be useful for to see what details or what files are available. But if you want to copy a file from one location to another location, it's not possible to do it with the portal. Let's take an example. I have a file here and I wanted to copy this file. I wanted to copy this file from this location from input to output. It's not possible here. I don't have a feasibility to do it. In the output directory, let me duplicate this. Inside the output directory, I don't have anything here. I wanted to copy this file from input directory to output directory. Generally, your ADF is going to take care about it. 99% ADF is going to take care, and 1% you are going to do by yourself to do some testing with the ADF. By doing some testing, where exactly we can do this 1%, I'll give a clarity on it. So in real time, that 1% is always very, very important. So here I'm saying, what are the ways to access your storage account? By using the portal, you can access it. So let's answer to how to access this portal. If they don't give access to the portal, then you cannot access a storage account from there. But you can access it from outside if you have access to the storage. So if you remember, at the time of prerequisites, we installed this Azure Storage Explorer. Your Azure Storage Explorer is used to access your storage account from outside. Your storage is there here, and you're sitting in this place, and you have a laptop here, and you can access, instead of logging into the portal, you can access with the help of your Storage Explorer. With the Storage Explorer, you can access your storage account. And real time, it is very, very important. We don't need to pay any license for the Storage Explorer. It's a free of cost. I'm just going to open my Storage Explorer. Just open this Microsoft Azure Storage Explorer. Expand the storage account. I'm just going to deattach because I wanted to show you how we can do it. Now I'm there here. It is asking how you can connect to storage. To connect to the storage, we have a various options. In my project, we are using, Microsoft account, or what we can say, subscription level access I'm having, so I can use directly my account itself. So that means tenant will be there, right? That account itself, we can use it. Okay, so that is one way. And other way is we can have because if they wanted to control you, then they're going to give a different way of access. Let's right click on it. I wanted to connect my Azure storage. To connect my Azure storage, we have all these options to do it. If you have access at the subscription level, then you can use directly to access the subscription level. In this particular case, you can have all the access to that particular subscription. And if they're giving only access to the storage account, then you can see only the storage account only. Okay, if they're giving access to only the container, then you can see the access to this container. And one more thing you asked about it, right? Gen 1. So Gen 1 is not having a access to control at this level. Like, if you wanted to control the container level, or if I wanted to control the access at the directory level. So these kind of things were not available at the Gen 1. Okay, so we were having at the Gen 2 level. Okay, so leaf level granularity, we can control it. Okay, so let me go for storage account. So when I go for storage account, I have again connection string I can use, account name and key I can use, shared access signature I can use. No one will ask you how we can connect the storage account, because this is not related to us. This is related to purely administrators. So I mean to say they should know what is this as. Okay, so we don't need to know about it from our side. How we can connect is administrators will will give the details how we can connect it, and we can use those options to connect it. After connecting only, our journey is going to be important. How we can connect, administrators will help, our team will help you. Now I'm going to take here account key and name to connect it. Let's say next. Then it is asking what is the account key and what is the account name. So where we can find these details is, let's go to, let's duplicate this space. This is your storage account. In the bottom, you can find there is a security and networking. Under security and networking, we can see there is a access keys. Hit on it. And I'm going to take the storage account, take a copy. You can see clipboard here. You can take a copy and paste it here. I'm just keeping the same display name also. And account key is required. Account key, you can see key 1 is there and key 2 is there. Okay, so this key 1 and key 2 is required. Okay, so basically they do not share the keys generally. They're going to give the access to the Active Directory. I mean to say with Microsoft Entra ID. They're going to give access to your Microsoft Entra ID so that they can control your access level. So all those things, all those details are going to be taken care by themselves. So you can use the subscription level access. Okay, so I'm just providing the access key here for practicing purpose. You can use this one. So here my intention is how we can use the Storage Explorer than your connectivity. Let me hit on next and hit on connect. Expand this blob containers, you can see there is a data files. When I choose this data files, I'm able to see here input directory and output directory. So what I'm trying to say here is I have a input directory here. I wanted to go for split, not this split. Yeah, split also is fine. Okay, so here is one window, here is another window, and I'm going to take into the input, and here I'm going to take into the output. You can drag and drop here. Is that possible? Let's take a copy here and paste it here. It's not allowing to do it. Paste it here. Now you can see. I can do copy, paste it here. Okay, if I wanted to remove it, you can remove it. So before removing, you just check in the portal also. You can just refresh in the input. This is the input and this is the output. Just refresh it and you can see your file here. I'm going to remove from here, from the output directory. Then the file is removed. If I go and refresh it, you cannot see the file here. And other way is, I'm just going to, one more tab I'm just taking here. Let's take a copy Go to other tab, go inside this output and paste it here. You can say Control V. You can use the Control V also, or you can use this more options and you can paste it. Directly right click is not available here. Now again, if I refresh it, I can see. If I try to copy a file from here, it is not going to be possible to do it. You do not have a option here. You have a copy URL, but not copy option to copy a file. Let's take a copy option is there. Let's try. So no paste option is available. Within the same place, you may go for copy and paste it. I just used, there is a paste. Keep both. So within the same place it is there, but when I go for other window, the paste is not available here. So from one folder to another folder, you cannot copy and paste the files. But whereas with the Storage Explorer, we are going to use this. So in real time, where exactly we are going to use this is, you created one ADF pipeline. You tested it in the dev. Unit testing is done. Okay, so it is passed. And it went to the QA. That is also passed. And in prod, is failed. Okay, so in dev, it was passed because there will be less volume of the data. And QA also is passed based on the availability of the data. But in the prod, there is some complete data will be there in the prod, right? So for some reason, for some place, it is getting failed. The data is not coming as expected. Your pipeline is succeeded. Your pipeline went everything perfect. Only data quality check is failed. Okay, so you have to test. If I take the same again, if I run the pipeline, it will be succeeded. I don't have any problem again. But the problem is the data which is available in the production. So in that case, what you have to do is, you know that in which particular particular year of the data you're having a problem. You can take that particular year or that particular month. Let's say the problem is with the June data. Just imagine. So then you have to check with the same June data only. In the dev, the June data was not there. In the QA, the June data is not there. So in that particular case, what we can do is, from the production, we are going to move the data from the production to dev. So which data? Only June data you are going to move from production to dev. Because in the production container, you have a separate container, and dev for dev, there will be separate container. So if you have this data, then only you can test in the dev environment. So that means your production data has to come into the dev. You don't need to get it from the source. Okay, because they don't give access to the production systems directly to the dev environment. They're going to give access to the dev database only. If they give access to the production of the database, then they can do it. But even if they give access to the production, we are not supposed to read it because the data is already available here. Why you need to go to the source? You can copy your data into the dev environment and you can test your pipeline. You got my point, right? Why we need to use this Azure Storage Explorer? Any question?
The types of connections, there are 3 types of connections, right? So it is just a way to connect in
This
a
is
3
one of
different
the way
ways.
to just connect.
Okay, it's no difference in the access, right? Once
No
you connect.
different, no difference in that.
Okay.
Okay. So here my intention is, why we need to use this Storage Explorer is much more important for me. Because when this kind of situation comes, in my case, I came across this kind of situations multiple times. So in that, if I run my job with the production data, then only I can do it. I cannot do multiple times runs here. I cannot do manual runs here. It's a production. Whereas in the dev, I can do multiple times runs, and I can check the value and I can cross verify it. So because of that reason, in that kind of situations, we are going to take the data from the production to dev. So that will be easy to do it. Okay. So how we can copy a file from one folder to another folder, that we have seen. That is important for me. And there is a other approach also to connect it. Let me show you. I'm just going to deattach this. Let's right click on it, connect to Azure storage account or source. So connection string also you can take it. Let's take a next, and connection string you can find in the same place. Here you can see there is a connection string. Paste it here. Hit on next and connect. Okay, so if you go with the connection string or if you go with the key, you will be having full control. Full control is going to be there. Basically, administrators only use these options. We are not going to come across that. And for some reason, they wanted to give access to the production to write the data, not only reading. I wanted to write something, but I wanted to give only 1 week, or after 1 week, I wanted to revoke it automatically. If you give this one, you cannot go and you have to regenerate the key. It's not the best practice. I just wanted to give access to the production for 1 week only for some reason. You have a approval to give access for 1 week. So I need to give access to only 1 week, not more than that. So if that is the case, then what we are going to use is we are going to use access signature. So we can have a full control it by the administrators here. If they wanted to give only reading access, they can give only reading access. Okay, so granular level can be controlled by using the shared access signature. But approach is same. How we can connect is very much similar. You can take, let me deattach again here, or let's say attach, connect. So here we are going to have a shared access signature also here. You can take this particular option also to connect it. Okay, so after 1 week, it is going to be taken out. So somewhere you can find that time, start time and end time. You can see here. Start and expiry date. You can specify a start date and end date. Okay, so that feasibilities are available here. But whereas with the connection string and account key is not going to have that much control. So leaf level granularity control can be handled with the shared access signature. In that particular kind of situation only, they're going to give this access. So otherwise, mostly they're going to use the Microsoft Entra ID to provide the security, to provide access to your storage. So if they give access with the Microsoft Entra ID, then we can directly use the subscription to give, and we can use the email ID to log in. Let's say, for example, if I say connect subscription, and then you can give your email ID, it is going to ask you to log in. You can provide the email ID to log in, and then it will come, and then it will come to here. So like that, there is a chances to access it also. But any cost, your administration team will help you to connect, to provide the connection details. But how you can use this, that is your headache. They don't help us. But data engineering team can help how we can copy. If you ask, then they will help you if you're not aware of this tool. But now you're aware of it, how we can copy data from one place to other place. For that reason only we are going to use, and it is easy to see what files are available. Okay, so much more easier than the portal. Okay, so apart from this, we are also going to use the Azure Data Factory to access your storage account. 100% of the times you're going to use only with the Azure Data Factory and Azure Databricks, because it has to be accessed by the process. So data has to read from the source by using Data Factory only, or data has to be transformed with the Azure Databricks. So can read without writing the code by using the data factory, and we can read the data from there by writing the code. So Databricks is going to ask you to write 100% as coding, but that code is very, very simpler. And there are many changes happen in the Databricks side. I mean to say AI is integrated, and when the moment to type something, it is going to give a complete code also. Code snippet is going to be get. We don't need to search even in the Google. So previously we used to search if you forget about the syntax, or if you're not aware of that, we used to do it in directly in this Google. But we don't need to go even to the Google. Your Databricks itself is having a inbuilt integrated. And not only that, we have a Copilot is integrated if it is a Microsoft Azure Databricks, especially if it is a Azure Databricks, Copilot is integrated. Even if it is a Databricks also, AI is integrated. So they reduce many things to avoid remembering your syntaxes and lines of code. Okay, so at least at the time of working, you can use the AI 50% you can use the AI. But for interview point of view, you have to give the answer. So they will ask you to write a code. You should be ready to write a code. So they don't ask too many lines of the code because it is an interview. It has to be complete in 30 to 45 minutes. Okay, so in that particular time, they have to cover all together. Okay, so we are going to see how we can do this very soon. From Monday onwards, we are going to start talking about with the Azure Data Factory so that you can understand how we can access your storage account. Okay, you got my point, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so and one more new topic, I'll just give an idea about it and we'll wind up the session for today. So redundancy. So no one will ask you what is the redundancy, but the Storage Explorer, even in the interview, they may not ask you. But at the time of working, how important it is, the people who faced, the people who worked in the situation, they can understand. So I came across very starting of my career. So I understood Explorer is very, very important as part of data engineering. Even I feel the same thing now also. If it is not installed, ask them to install in your machine. It's a free of cost only. Just approval is required from your approval strategist. If there is no license, no one will object because Microsoft recommends to use that to access your storage. To manage your storage, we are going to use the Azure Storage Explorer. And let's talk about this redundancy. Redundancy means it's a duplicating, a replication. Okay, so the replication is there in the Hadoop. So file is going to be replicated. If you take any file, the file is going to be replicated 3 times. The data is going to be replicated 3 times. When I say file, it is going to be basically block. Okay, so block is going to be replicated 3 times. So ultimately, the file is going to be replicated 3 times. If I have a 1 GB file, then 3 times means 3 GB, it is going to be there in 3 different places. So how Microsoft is going to provide a redundancy, or how Microsoft is going to make your data highly available is with the help of redundancy. So Hadoop is going to do the redundancy only within the same data center. But when it comes to here in the Microsoft, it is going to be distributed. It is going to be in a different places, not in the same data center, in a different data centers, different zones, different regions. Okay, so Microsoft Azure is going to replicate the file up to maximum 6 times. 6 times the files are going to be available. Let's take an example. I have a laptop and I have a photos. Just imagine the photos 1 GB is there. I just kept it. For some reason, my laptop was damaged. Then you are going to lose your files. Okay, you cannot get it. In the same way, I have a laptop. I kept 1 GB. I have a external hard disk and I kept the photos there 1 GB. And for some reason, my laptop was crashed, but still I have the data in the external hard disk. So I may buy a new laptop and I can copy again these files into the laptop, or I will make it repair and I'll keep the files here again. So that means we have a backup here. And this is crashed for some reason, this is also crashed for some reason, then you are going to lose the data. So if you have this data in the Google storage, then you can download and you can keep it. So that means you're trying to keep the data in alternative options to avoid losing the data. In the same way, for your business data also is going to be the same thing. So because of that reason, availability of the data is very, very important. The storage of the cost is not much more. The storage of the cost is less only. Okay, the storage of the cost is less, very less when you compare with the on-prem systems. So they're providing, it is used to replicate the data within the primary region or in the secondary region. When you go for Microsoft Azure, we have two regions we are going to have it. One is the primary region and other is the secondary region. So region means a location. There are 4 different types of redundancies are introduced by Microsoft. One is LRS, that is locally redundant storage, and ZRS, zone redundant storage, GRS, geo redundant storage, and GZRS, geo zone redundant storage. Geo zone redundant storage. So what happens here is when you go for LRS, if you see this diagram, you may get little different, but give me a minute, I'll open another diagram so that you can see. You will be having access for all these files. You can see. So redundancy is used to replicate the data in the primary region and in the secondary region. There are 4 different ways to provide by Microsoft. One is LRS, ZRS, GRS, and GZRS. Now, when I take this LRS, you can see this diagram. We don't need to concentrate more on this. Again, I'm repeating. We are not going to be part of administrators. So we can just avoid it. Just for understanding for your why or how they're providing the redundancy or how Microsoft providing the data highly available. So you can see here in the primary region, when I take the LRS in the primary region, we have a data center. So multiple data centers will be there in the primary region. On the same way, multiple regions are there in the secondary region also. So region means collection of data centers is nothing but a region. Okay. So in the data center, in one data center, I'm going to keep this. Like this, you may have a multiple data centers here. Okay, so these are all internal mechanisms. So within the data center, we are going to have 3 copies of the file. If I have a employee.csv is going to be available here, here, and here. That means not in the same system. So data center is going to have again racks. Okay, so maybe if you're aware of it, Azure data center, you can see the images how data centers are going to be there. So this is a data center, or you can take this an example. This is one rack. You may keep in this particular place, or you may keep in this place. We don't know where exactly they're going to keep it, but all the files are going to be there in the same region and same data center. So data center also is same. Okay, so that is about LRS. When you go for ZRS, what happens is, as I said, in the primary region, you are going to have a multiple data centers. Okay, so collection of data centers, we can have a zone also. So one zone can have a multiple data centers. Okay, so now I'm going to extend my definition towards to this primary region. Previously, I told collection of data centers is known as a region. Now I'm saying collection of zones are known as a region. End of the day, same only. Here are collection of data centers only. Okay, so some people may not understand if we say collection of zones is a region, if we say they may not understand. But if you say collection of data centers is known as a region simply. Now in the availability zone 1, I have a data center 1, here I have a data center 2, and here I have a data center 3. So 3 data centers I'm having. Now file is not going to sit in a single data center. Previously the file is in a same 3 times the file was replicated in the same data center. Now it is keeping one file in data center 1, file 2 in data center 2, and file 3 in data center 3. If this is failed, I mean to say when you go for above 1, if the entire data center is failed for some reason, then you're going to lose the data. If the rack is failed, then you can get the access from these 2 files. If the rack is failed, then it is fine. If data center itself is failed, then you cannot access it. And in this place, if this data center is failed for some reason, still your data is available here. If this is also is failed, then still your data is available. Now when we are going to lose the data here is, we are going to lose the data only if the entire region is failed. There are chances. If the entire region is failed, then your ZRS is not going to help you. Because of that reason, mostly in many projects, we are going to use GRS. In my project, we are using GRS. Geo redundant storage. When the moment you see the geo in the redundant, we are going to have it 2 regions. One is the primary region and other is the secondary region. So primary region again is going to have a LRS here, and secondary region also is going to have a LRS. Between these two, thousands of kilometers away is going to be there. Both are not in the same place because they are the regions, they are different locations. Okay, so if the entire primary region is down, you can take the data from the secondary region. So losing of the data is very limited chances. So that is about the geo redundant storage. And geo zone redundant storage also is there. So same only. I have a primary region here and secondary region here. It's far away. Okay, so in the primary region, previously, if it is a GRS, it will be LRS will be there in the primary region. But here I'm taking zone redundant. Okay, so 3 data centers are available. Okay, so if the entire primary region is, if it is a LRS, there is a chances to down your primary region completely. But if this data center is down in the primary region, you can access the data from the primary region itself. So if the entire is down again, then you can take it from the secondary region. So losing of the data is very limited chances we are going to have when you go for ZRS, GZRS. So that is what I'm just trying to say here. So total, if it is a GZRS is or GRS is going to have a 6 copies. Here 3 copies are there here and 3 copies here, total 6 copies. And here I have a 3 copies here and here I have a 3 copies, total 6 copies. And your secondary region is always going to have a LRS only. 100%. Only in the primary region only you're going to have a ZRS. Okay, so secondary region comes into the picture only if you use the GRS and GZRS. Otherwise, it is not going to come across it. So this is about your Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. So this is more enough. And how you are going to access with the data factory, how we can read and write the data into the Azure Data with Azure Data Factory, or how we can read and write with the Azure Databricks is very important for us. So accessing storage direct storage by ourselves is very limited chances, but accessing with the data factory and data factory is 99% chances are there. Only 1% only you're going to see manually. You're not going to copy and paste it manual things. Only when we have issues with the production, Then we are going to take the data from the production to your lower environments. Okay, with Storage Explorer. So tomorrow I'm going to talk about Azure SQL Server, how we can use this Azure SQL Server for doing a data storage. Okay, any question, guys, before stopping?
You mentioned about redundancy. You mentioned about region, geo, and data center and all, right? So what is
Yes.
the hierarchy, sir? It's like region is top, or
Region is top.
can you repeat the hierarchy once, sir? Maybe.
Region
Hmm.
is top, and then zone. Okay, and then data center, and then racks. Okay,
Okay.
racks will be there. The racks, collection of racks is data center. Collection of data centers, we can say zones, and collection of zones is the region. Region is the top.
Okay.
But we don't have any control here. We don't have any control here. We don't have any control. We have a control on only on region.
So
You
while
can
selecting-
change the region. You can
Okay.
select the region, but you cannot select the zone, or you cannot select the data center. You got my point, right?
Yes, sir. While creating storage account,
Yeah.
also we have option like
Yes.
region, right?
Exactly. Because securities. If you know which data center you stored, it's not a good sign, right? So to provide the security for your data, your Microsoft will take care about it. Internally, it will take care. You don't know which data center you stored. You can have a control on only on the primary region. Even secondary region also will be controlled by Microsoft only. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for joining.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, today class I get late. Will you provide recording?
Yeah. I'll give it. I'll give it.
I will do transaction in 2 days, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'll do it. Okay.
And one more thing, chat box is disabled, sir.
Is that okay? I'll make it available somewhere.
Okay.
You can unmute. Okay. So wherever we have a option to unmute, anyone can start me at any place, because we
Okay.
are very less people only. I don't have a hundreds of people to to control this mute and unmute. So we are here max to max 10 only. So you can unmute at any point of time and you can ask me.
Okay.
And even messages I may not see, because I'm going to hide all the controls to see my entire screen. So even if you send a message, I may not look into that. But if you talk, then definitely I can respond immediately. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, then we'll see.
We are going to use the same link for tomorrow class almost.
Yeah, for tomorrow I'm going to use the same link, and for Monday I'm going to change the link.
Sir, I used my Outlook ID to create account, storage account.
Your company Outlook account?
With the credit card, but it's showing this is not available to create account. You can go pay as you.
You can go with the pay as you go. No worries. You will not get more than 500.
Okay, sir. Can I
500.
use another card?
You can try. You can try if you want with other card.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Basically,
with that Outlook
what I
ID?
observed is like email ID, mobile number, credit card. These three things you should not use anywhere.
Exactly.
Azure.
For
These
Azure,
three
you should
should-
not use.
Yeah, these three things should be unique.
Exactly.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, then we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.